What's up, everybody? Before this video gets started, I just wanted to give you guys a heads up. I was having some audio driver issues when I recorded this, so some of my audio got messed up, so you'll have to read subtitles. What's up, everybody? Welcome to another video. I'm Keelan, and I just got back from seeing Return to Silent Hill. Now, before I get into my review, I want to give you all a big spoiler warning. I'm going to just talk freely about it. I don't care to avoid spoilers anymore at this point for any movie, so if you don't want to be spoiled, do yourself a favor, pause this video, and then come back and check out my review once you've seen the film for yourself. But if you don't care about spoilers and you are just willing to listen to what I have to say, strap in, we're about to get started. I've never played any of the Silent Hill video games, so I'm not coming at this from the angle of a fan of the games or anything like that. I'm just going to be reviewing this from the lens of a movie standpoint. Return to Silent Hill. Is it good? Is it bad? My opinion, it's somewhere in the middle. It certainly has its issues. There's a couple of things that I enjoyed about it, especially compared to some other movies I've seen this month, but the issues that it did have are very glaring, and I know for a lot of people, it's going to be hard for them to kind of look past those issues. The biggest problem that this movie has is its budget. The funding just wasn't there for the vision that they had. You can see the love and the dedication that the people who worked on this movie had. You can tell that they were fans of the video games. I already knew that this was going to be a problem, just simply from watching the trailer. You could tell there was going to be a budget issue. There was some CG even in the trailer that you could tell. I wasn't a fan of it, which is why this movie was not on my most anticipated of 2026 list. I just had a feeling, especially with it coming out in January, albeit we've got some pretty good movies this month. January is usually full of stinkers, and I was suspecting that this movie was going to be one of those stinkers. Obvious green screen going on. Apparently, they did all of the creatures practically and then digitally enhanced them with CG. That's obvious as well. And it's really frustrating because the first Silent Hill film, the ambiance, the atmosphere, the look, and the practice, everything just looks so good, so creepy. This movie kind of lacks that because of the digital enhancement, because of the low budget look to it. It doesn't consume you as much. It doesn't trap you in as much. And I think problem with this film, because there's a version of this movie with a better budget where it's 10 times better just off the visuals alone. I will say the movie does feel like a straight video game adaptation. Watching it, it honestly feels a video game in a sense. It's paced out like that. Even the character interactions feel very video game-esque, and just kind of how the narrative plays all feels very much like a video game. And I'm assuming that's kind of what they were going for, given the fact that this was a video game adaptation. So on that point, I would say they hit the nail on the head, but some of it was a little confusing. If I'm being honest, I didn't quite understand fully what was going on sometimes. Some of the characters being introduced were there for a moment, and then so I wasn't quite sure why they were introduced in the first place. Come to find out, those characters had more importance in the video game, and it made sense why they existed. And so those characters being in the movie was more about fan service than it was about them having some sort of meaning or weight to the story. There are pockets of some of the dialogue where it just doesn't feel very believable. I will say they do this thing where they're doing flashbacks. So they switch from a flashback back to present day where James, the lead character, is in Silent Hill, and they're kind of giving you bits and pieces of the story through flashbacks. And I like how they did the transitions. I thought that that was really cool, and I enjoy that sort of storytelling where they're feeding us little nuggets and little crumbs, and then eventually it comes full circle. Unfortunately, the story is left a little ambiguous, so certain things are inferred, certain things are left open-ended where you kind of just have to make an assumption. And I'll be honest, at times while I was watching it, I felt like there were certain things that I just couldn't quite grasp or understand. And after watching the movie and then going ahead and watching videos on the video game, this movie was made with a lot of passion, like I said, and a lot of dedication. But with that, it's like they really wanted to do a really good adaptation of the video game, but they also wanted to do their own thing in a way. So it's like they're trying to make it accessible for a mass, but they also want to feed the fans of the video game. And because of that, I felt like I couldn't quite connect. Like, I feel like if I was a fan of the video games and I had known more about the story the way that I do now, my viewing experience would have been better because I would have been able to understand the nuances. information at the time of the viewing, I was kind of left in the dark. So I don't think that that's going to go over well for a lot of people, and I could see that being a problem for a lot of people, understandably so. I'm willing to give it a bit more grace because I do think the story was interesting. We get the classic nurses back, we get Pyramid Head, and he actually has more of a purpose than just being some villainous creature. I was also shocked to find out after the fact that this movie was directed by the same guy who did the first Silent Hill film, because they don't feel like it's directed by the same person. This one pales in comparison, if I'm being honest, as I figure if this man did the first one, it would make sense for this one to be on par, if not, close to it, but it really does not match, unfortunately. I think with less limitations, more funding, the product could have probably met his ambition and we could have gotten a better movie overall. Unfortunately, that was not the case. I'm trying not to be too hard on the movie because I did overall enjoy the experience. It's interesting because the movie opens up with James receiving this who's been deceased, telling him to come find her at Silent Hill. So he goes there, and that's when the story starts to unfold. We get introduced to all these characters, and they all have their different meanings, and we figure that out as the story goes on. But again, some of that is left open-ended, or it's not really well explained, and it's where it just feels like it doesn't fit quite right. Or maybe the movie needed an extra 20 minutes to give us that time for them to kind of explain that a little bit better. But these different characters end up being manifestations of the turmoil that James is going through throughout the film. And that kind of comes together in the end when it's exposed that James's wife didn't just pass away from this illness that she had, but James basically took her out on his own. He smothered her based off of her own wishes. And so all these events, like the monsters, the characters, Pyramid Head himself, they all represent something internal that James is going through. So I thought all of that was really cool. We even get this look at James's wife, Mary, in like her own creature form towards the end, and I thought it looked really cool. Again, practically done, but you can just tell that there's some digital enhancements on there that really it in a way, but I'm trying to look past that and accept it. I did like the overall design of the way that she looked. What I didn't like and what I didn't quite understand is the very ending where basically his wife is somehow alive again and they meet for the first time. At least I think it's like pretty sure she's alive again because he seems like he knows her already and he's like reliving the moment that they met. But I don't think I missed something. I just think it was left a little too ambiguous in the end. So I don't really quite understand how that all worked out. Maybe I'll have to watch somebody else's review or read some articles where it is explained. Yeah, I don't know. I see this one probably confusing some people, making them feel like it lacked good enough explanations for things. And I totally understand because unfortunately, I think this might be the death of the Silent Hill franchise for a while. I know it's been some time since we got a sequel in this franchise anyways. This is not going to help the franchise's case in getting further sequels. I am interested, though, in now playing the game, so that is something I probably will take the time to do, is get into the video games in this franchise, because I've heard a lot of really good things about them. So that's something that I definitely will do. But that is all of my thoughts for Return to Silent Hill. I think there are some things about it that are enjoyable. There's some merit there. I don't blame the people who made the film necessarily. I think they had a lot of love for this franchise. I think they try to put a lot of passion into it. Unfortunately, I just don't think they had funds to really make the product that matched their ambition and their vision. And that is my review for Return to Silent Hill. If you enjoyed this review, be sure to leave a like, hit the subscribe button, and ring the notification bell so you never miss any of my new uploads. If you've seen Return to Silent Hill and you want to drop your opinion, what you liked about it, what you disliked about it, do you think it was a fair adaptation of the video game? Let me know all your thoughts down in the comments below. I would love to know what you all have to say. As always, be safe out there, and I hope to see you guys in the next video.